What is up, everybody? It is Saturday, February 4th. We're back for another college basketball Hardwood show. Deep into conference play now. Feeling good. Had a great week in the streets. I'm here with three-time seat winner Gavin. All have happened since our last Saturday show. He took down the $30 last Saturday just with the ridiculously low-owned team. That was super fun. How's it going, Gav? Glad that you're up early with us again. How was your week?
Yeah, got a little lazy during the week after you win 3 seats and 4 slates or whatever it was. It kind of didn't really put in the time, but we're back in and got the notes ready. It's kind of a cool slate. Rivalry Saturday. We don't have a ton of them except for the Sisters of the Poor and the Illinois-Iowa game. But let's get into it.
Yeah, interesting main slate with a lot of good games, but not a lot of big totals. Most of the big totals are in the afternoon and on the night slates tonight. We got 12 games here, so let's just dive right in. The first one, Michigan State against Rutgers. This game's actually at MSG, not at the Rack, which is kind of interesting. KenPom's got Sparty 42nd, Rutgers 17th on KenPom. He's got this game line, Rutgers 65-60. Overall game thoughts here, Gavin. We saw Sparty kind of take it to Rutgers at home a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, they won, 70-57, but they got out-rebounded by 8, and they shot 54% from 3 when Rutgers shot 2 of 17 from 3. So shot quality had a 15-point win for Rutgers, and they lost by 13. So, 28-point net swing goes to show you just how Michigan State was hitting shots. But Sparty's lost 4 of their last 6, all the teams in the top 35 at KenPom, and they're 0-3 away from home during that stretch. So, yeah, it's not boding well when you go and play, one of the 5 best defenses, I think, pretty objectively in the country. But, yeah, this is going to be a pretty ugly game, not just indicated by, I think, the lowest total on the slate, but you got both teams who are like top 30 in post-up frequency. Both teams are outside the top 300 in defensive average possession length, so it takes teams a while to generate a shot against them. They shoot a ton of mid-ranges, should be relatively slow and inefficient. So not a game I'm going to be targeting a ton, but, Sparty does have the requisite shot makers to shoot over the top of that packed-in Rutgers defense. So, there's a path for them.
Yeah, we've got a couple just elite defense on the slate, Rutgers and then Tennessee we'll talk about later.
Georgetown's up next.
Yep. I will say big cliff for Rutgers. We've kind of been targeting the front court of Michigan State for a couple weeks now, Gav. I think it's a good matchup for him despite the low game total. I think he could get there as kind of a contrarian spend. Not a main team play for me just because he's 8K. You're using up a lot of salary early in the worst game environment on the slate. But any thoughts on Cliff here? We have seen Sparty's front court just get routinely abused, especially in conference play.
Yeah, and Cliff's minutes can get up and down based on his fouling, based on matchup, whatever the case may be. I think he's pretty safe to probably get you like 3.5x, but I don't know if I really see him going for 40, 45, something like that, 5x plus, just given one game environment. Like Michigan State doesn't have a bunch of good interior defenders, but they got a couple of them at least that they can kind of throw at Cliff to do the job. So, I won't be anywhere near him on this slate. I just think I'm going to be taking kind of a wait-and-see approach with this first window. I think this first window of games is just total AIDS, and we have way better environments in the second half. So, I better be really sure about a play in this early window to be jamming them in a main line, and I don't think Cliff's anywhere near that for me.
Yeah, that kind of goes to we have a comment in chat from a pretty funny name, Wordle Champion. Should we save salary for the later games with the higher totals? I think that's kind of what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have 5 games in this first window. We'll talk about all of them. I think there are plays that you can grab. We do have the $30 Q, Gavin, which I know a lot of the people watching are going to be playing. And, like you did last week, multiple guys who aren't in the best game environments but have ceiling. I think it was Grant Sherfield and
Kolek had like 57 too. It was the Kolek near triple-double, the Creighton double. Yeah.
Yeah. So, there are plays that you can pick off from this game, just probably not from or for a main team from me. Let's move on here. UConn at Georgetown. UConn 6th at KenPom. Georgetown 219th at KenPom. He's got this line. UConn 82-66. These teams played a couple weeks ago, and Georgetown actually played them pretty well. They pushed UConn. They ended up winning by 11 at home. Now this is at Georgetown. Georgetown,
Dude, we
Gavin,
bet that game. Remember, Georgetown was up on UConn with like 8 minutes left in the game, and we bet UConn, and they ended up blowing them out. But they pushed them for 30 plus in that game.
Yeah, and I mean that's the games where you see UConn guys hit their ceilings is when they're not blowing teams out with 12 minutes left, and they have to push Jackson and Sonogo past 30 minutes. Interesting note: Georgetown, I think, is 6-2 against the spread as a double-digit dog this season. They're at home here, Gavin. Do you think that they can push UConn here? And just overall thoughts about the game?
Yeah, I definitely think they can push UConn. UConn's 6th in KenPom. They've also lost 6 of their last 9 games since December 30th. And 2 of those 3 wins that they've had were Butler and DePaul. So, they're 33rd in Bart Torvik since that time. That feels like much more kind of where they're at as a team. But UConn has Marquette on deck next game. They're on the second leg of a road back-to-back. Like, there's definitely some letdown potential where Georgetown could kind of keep this game, within single digits. They just got the monkey off their back getting the win versus DePaul, and then they played the Johnny's close in MSG. But Georgetown is also on the front end of UConn, Providence, Marquette back to back. So we may just see Patrick Ewing leave in his damn Bentley after the Marquette game and just never come back. I don't. It's going to get ugly for him. So. Yeah, I mean, decent GPP because Georgetown's going to push some decent pace, and their defense is just fucking awful. So, I think there's some Q viable plays in this game at least.
Yeah, let's talk about those plays. We've seen Jordan Hawkins really ascend, especially since Christmas time, conference play. I think he's going to end up being a draft pick. I think he's going to go in the first round. He just looks like an NBA player out there, doesn't he, Gav? 25% shot rate last 3 games. The peripherals have actually ticked up a bit, which is what's allowed him to kind of realize those ceiling games when, it's not just empty scoring, but he's also grabbing a few boards and sharing the ball a bit. Any thoughts on him? His price is now 8-1. So he's getting close to like the true studs of the slate. Thoughts on Hawkins, as a player overall, and then as a play here, and then any other looks on UConn? We've seen Andre Jackson have 3 or 4 bad games in a row, whether it be fouls, him just not being able to make a shot. So, not super confident clicking him here, but it is a great game environment, and the price is down because he's played like shit.
Yeah, Hawkins is a stud. I mean, we saw, I think in the last 2 drafts, these long wings that can stretch the floor are going to get picked because they're so interchangeable in today's NBA. We'll see first round, early second, something like that. But no, he's definitely a stud. I wish he didn't get kind of priced up into the 8Ks. He was much more viable down in the 7s. But look, now he's right next to Sonogo, where they get the same minutes. If you told me Sonogo and Hawkins get the same minutes, I want Sonogo in that every single time. So. Yeah, like Andre Jackson, dude, teams just are flat out not guarding him past 12 to 15 feet. Like, you should see how much gap is in between defenders and Andre Jackson when he pulls a 3-pointer. There's 6 feet in between them. It's insane. But he just can't hit a fucking shot for his life. So, he's going to have to get there, like, on peripherals, obviously. And then when he, if he can ever score, like this is a game that should fare well for him. He's not going to have to play in the half court a ton like a Villanova and have to hit shots where the game can be up and down tempo wise. He can leverage a little bit more of his athleticism in the open court, get some easier buckets, and obviously against a shit defense. So he's still probably I'm surprised he hasn't dropped in price a little more just with the recent performances. But I think Jackson's in play because just like I said, the type of game that we're going to see, very transition heavy, I think, on both sides.
Yeah, perfect spot to bring in our guy Kurt here. We were just talking about Andre Jackson, Kurt,
God,
and
don't even, Stevie.
and the shit run that he's been on. Are you clicking him today? Hawkins is up here at 8K now just because he's on a complete burner. But the matchup against Georgetown, we were talking about if Georgetown can keep this close, I think Hawkins can have a big game here.
Yeah, I mean, we know someone's going to go off for them. I mean, Georgetown, it's just how like Georgetown is. But like, do we click Jack? I mean, we know the 40, like the 6, 7x game's coming. Like it's going to happen. And if I'm 150, you know what I'm saying? So like, I don't know. Gavin, what are you doing with him? Because I want to play him. I maxed the $30 a day. I'm going to have him in one just because it's the bonanza type of play. But man, like if he gets me 16, I'm not going to be surprised. Like I'm just going to go with the flow because I know what the upside is.
Yeah, God forbid he fucking hits a shot.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's also a little bit of a feel thing too. Like, if he can knock down his first shot, does that mean he can take a couple more than just the 3 or 4 that he's been allotted most of these games? Like, yeah,
because Gavin,
it's a guy.
I was just gonna say, like in that Xavier game, we saw him start like 0 for 5 and then got pulled for 8 minutes. I think if he gets off to the good start, we could see that 32, 34-minute game. He just hasn't done that in 2 weeks.
And part of that's coincided with Hawkins' improvement too. Like, so, it's probably going to have to come at the expense of some of Hawkins's, not only scoring with how much he's chucking, but some of the peripherals too. But the whole thing about UConn is, again, you're using a lot of salary. Kurt said one of these guys is going to go off. It's going to be hard to guess. You're going to use a lot of salary in the first window to do it. So I'm less apt to play UConn on the slate personally. But I think Jackson's a guy who's going to be like, what, 7 to 8% owned, and you play him at 15% and be double the field.
I think I'm playing. Yeah. I'm playing like I'm doing 150. I'm playing Caravan and Jackson, and I'm just Xing out the 2 8K guys and just hope they don't kill me too much.
Yeah, I think Caravan's interesting too in the low 6Ks, Gavin. He fouled last game, but we've seen secondary contributors have ceiling games against Georgetown just because they're, of their pace and their shit defense. Any interest in him?
Cook is a pretty good individual defender. And a Cook can travel well with Caravan along the perimeter. So, I don't love that matchup personally. Calcaterra and Diarra have been pretty much completely phased out. So, like, Tristan Newton, back-to-back 12, shots a game, getting to the free throw line. He's looking more aggressive. I don't think you can count Newton out either. I'd be fine if you wanted to pick one of these guys to be overweight with on, even if it was Newton, Jackson, and then I'm probably out on Caravan. I'd say those two over him for him, me personally.
Yeah. And then any interest in the Georgetown guys, Primo at 8K and Murray at 7.2? We've seen their entire team just basically be those two guys since Murray came back.
UConn wasn't a team that we were targeting defense-wise. They haven't been as good as they were early in the season. I'm not going to play them, I think, in the spot, but they feel a little bit more cashy than GPP. Like, do you really see Primo Spears nuking for a 45 or a 50 here, or Murray for a 35 or a 40?
If he keeps taking 22 shots, maybe. That's enough time on this game. Any last thoughts here, Kurt, on UConn Georgetown?
No, with Heath back, it's just and Riley emerging. Georgetown's just a play for me.
That's true. Heath is back. All right, let's go to a game that I'll have some interest in. UVA at Virginia Tech. UVA 13th at Ken Pom, VT 53rd. Ken Pom's got it. Virginia 67-66. Gavin and I think that might be a little bit heavy. Gavin, why don't you give some game thoughts here first?
Yeah, I took the under 131.5. So here's the possession counts in recent meetings against these teams. Okay, 59.5, 58.5, 56, 57.5, 62, 58. That's the last 6 meetings between them. In the first game they played, Virginia Tech was 1.13 points per possession. UVA was 1.30, and teams went a combined 58% from the field. So I think we're getting a little bit of regression in that facet. Plus Virginia Tech off the Miami loss, where the game just ran crazy, 92-83. They had beat Duke and Cuse before that, both covers at home the 2 games before. So, but Virginia's been pretty consistent winning without blowing teams out kind of ever since their Pitt snafu. They've been consistent. They haven't been world beaters, but they're looking like they're heading for probably winning the conference. So big game, obviously, for Virginia Tech. We'll see a ton of catch and shoot 3-point looks here for both teams. And then, they're real similar in that after they catch it on the perimeter, if they don't have the open shot, they're going to look for an off-ball cutting action, like to the rim. So relatively similar in how they're going to get their shots up, different in how they're going to manufacture the looks in terms of the mover blocker versus the Mike White mad scientist. So, no Darius Maddox again. Certainly doesn't help, but yeah, I still think this is definitely an under spot given just kind of previous iterations of this game, how it's gone, and kind of the efficiency that we'll pick up or the lack of efficiency.
Yeah, we saw this game really shoot out in Charlottesville, but like you noted, the pace was still low. So I think that there's just got to be insane shot making for this game to go over that total. Any overall thoughts on the game, Kurt? And then do you like any plays from here? We've seen Grant Basile play a ton since Maddox has gone out, and he's playing really well, but just a tough matchup against Virginia.
Yeah, not much here. I'm going to have Collins in the pool like 5% just because it's like UV will double the post and maybe he decides to shoot the ball. Usage is terrible. 4,100 is not a good price, but I will have him in there for value. But nothing else here sticking out really. A lot of gross pricing.
Yeah, agreed. Gavin, thoughts on any plays here? I think all the viable plays are above 7K, which kind of makes it tough.
Yeah, and like, maybe the second worst game environment after Michigan State Rutgers. So, like, even if I was playing the Q today, I would just be probably Xing this game and trying to find other ways to get there. But it's not that, it's like, you're paying 7K for anybody, but like, Padula just doesn't come off the floor a lot of these games.
Yeah.
And he's going to get his shots up. Like but again, feels kind of more like good floor, suspect ceiling given game environment.
Yeah. Also, like having Beekman guard him, a more physical, athletic guy. I have my concerns about Padula in this specific matchup.
Well, Kihei's a great defender in his own right too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So I think I'm going to kick back, watch this game, and hope that we can pull out a win. I went to Virginia Tech, so I'll be rooting on the Hokies here. Let's go to Kansas at Iowa State. Kansas 9th at KenPom, Iowa State 19th. He's got at Iowa State 68-67. We saw this game, Gavin, play really close at Fog a couple weekends ago. I felt lucky to cash that Kansas live bet that I made. They won 62-60 on 64 possessions at home. Iowa State, and the tide's kind of turning on them lately. They've lost 3 out of 5, including the overtime melt at Texas Tech on Monday, where you got your second or third seed? I can't even remember now.
I don't know, but I lost fucking Iowa State money line. I was less than enthused.
Yeah, that's true. Any overall thoughts on this game and the rematch here?
Yeah, Kansas is off the 2 good wins, but I mean, with Texas Tech down this year, like I think you can argue that Iowa State's the most hostile environment in the Big 12. Like TJ Otzelberger in Ames has just been as Fendler says, a piss missile. Like you don't mess around with this team at home. And so I took Kansas small on a pick. Part of it is that Iowa State has a very unique defense in that not only are they the number one near proximity shot rate defense by like a long mile, but I mean they ice every ball screen coverage just like Houston. It's kind of gnarly. So that typically means for me, I'm staying away from point guards who are just going to end up in a double team with a big on them, and then try to look for more wings with length that can shoot over the defense, that can step out to the perimeter. So it's kind of an interesting spot here, but yeah, Iowa State, I think losing a couple games on the road, where they're clearly, a much more of a step down has kind of deflated the rating. So I am pretty scared of it. They definitely can do it here. This should be a wild arena tonight or this morning.
Yeah. Early tip here in the Midwest. I actually took Kansas for a half unit as well. Just a little concerned about the spot, like you said. Any thoughts overall about this game, Kurt? And then let's dive into the plays, starting on the KU side. Jalen Wilson's just had this team on his back for a couple weeks now.
Yeah, I mean, after that heartbreaking loss for Iowa State, I feel like they bounced back here, but Kansas looks so damn good. I don't know. You guys have balls for taking it. I'm just going to fade it, but I think it's going to be a great game. I think, like I said, I think Iowa State comes out strong. I think Kansas might be a little bit too much for him late in the game, though. So as far as plays go, I mean, Jalen Wilson feels nice and comfy as your spin up. Like, I just feel like the floor is just insane right now. So interested in him. And then Iowa State, man, I've got these guys wrong all year long. I mean, I don't think Grill's going to shoot 13 of 13 from three again. I mean, it's just like they just chuck, dude. So just Jalen for me here. And then I'll always have to sprinkle these like Iowa State guys because they absolutely chuck in 150, but it's a tough stomach as far as committing to one of them in the Q lineup.
Yeah, I kind of like Lipsy a bit. The freshman has looked pretty good. I think his role's ascending, Gavin. I think he's kind of fits well with the two shooters in Kalsher and Grill. He's taken over more of a ball handling role. His assist rate has gone up lately. It's up to 35% last 3 games. Any thoughts on Lipsy here? 33 minutes 2 games ago, and then 40 minutes in the overtime game last time. I think for me, he would be more of like a mid-range last man in type, but I think he's my favorite play on that Iowa State side.
Yeah, I'd probably agree. True Frosh, he's been really impressive for him. Like, now comes back home after 3 or 4 games on the road. Last time he was at home, just went for 31 fantasy points. 10, 6, and 4 against K-State. It's going to be very similar tempo wise to what K-State was pushing that game. So I think it bodes pretty well for him. I'm just never going to play Gabe Kalsher, and he's beaten me a couple times this year. Like when he's just decided he didn't want to miss those games, but every other time, I'm pretty much going to be right. So it's going to be another one where if he beats me, he beats me. And with Oshuni priced up, he's fouling his ass off too, even though he's rating out well. It's probably, and then King's. I think King's out of the fold with Grill back now. Like I'd be fine with Grill or Lipsy. I don't know if I want to get up and start paying close to 7K or over 7K for like a Kalsher, Holmes, or Oshuni.
Yeah, I think Lipsy's my favorite play on the Cyclone side. Any thoughts on the KU side here, Gavin? Wilson up near 10K, but man, 38, 39, 39 minutes last 3 games. They just can't afford to take him off the court right now. He didn't shoot the ball well in the Iowa State game, but still got a double-double and pushed 40 fantasy points last time out.
Yeah, he's the perfect type of forward you want to play against Iowa State, like a guy who can step out, not only shoot on a catch and shoot basis, but also can kind of create his own shot a little bit against slower, less mobile bigs. He's obviously a great play, dude. He's been one of the most consistent DFS assets all year, pretty much. So if you want Jalen Wilson, I don't mind it. I don't know if I'm going to play him on this slate, in all honesty. And part of it is he definitely can get to 50 plus. He also got to the 50 plus in overtime against Kansas State when Grady Dick, KJ Adams, and McCullough all fouled out. And he played the last 8 minutes of the game, just taking every single shot.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So
had him on that. On that slate.
At 9.7, I feel pretty good that he's going to get over 30. I also feel pretty good that he's probably not going to get over 45 given game environment, short of, a high block steal game or something like that. So I'm probably going to not play him on a main team. And I think he's going to be pretty highly owned given that the spend ups aren't that great today. So I'd be less apt to play him in the context of this slate the more I think about it.
Yeah, there aren't that many options up top, Kurt. We don't have Oscar on the slate. We don't have Armando Bacot. We don't have TJD on this slate. So thoughts there on Wilson. And then we did see Grady Dick have a big game against Iowa State last time, hit a bunch of threes. They're going to need his perimeter shooting against this type of defense.
Yeah, I like Dick. I mean, I like Dick. God.
Well done.
I set you up for that one.
Whew. Yeah, so I just like how he's starting to attack the basket a little more, and I just really like the way his game's coming along. I feel like he did in high school, but it took him a while. He just wanted to be like a catch and shoot guy when he first came in, which is probably right. But man, he's actually attacking the basket pretty well lately, and I feel like he can take Gabe and them off the bounce. So I will have, especially with how the slates like lining up, where it's like more mid tier, but you don't have all the spin dubs besides Jalen. That's why a lot of people are just gonna like kind of filter right to Jalen. But yeah, I don't mind taking Grady at all. So I will have a good bit of him. He might even, I don't want to lock him, but I will be heavily exposed. I'll be over the weight. I'll be like at least 2x on Grady.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Last game of the first window here, UCF Cincinnati. UCF 63rd at KenPom since he's 60th. He's got it since he's 69 to 66. There's a lot of sixes I just said there in a row. Wow. Kurt, I'll go to you first here. We've seen Taylor Hendricks from UCF have a really good season. I think he's working his way, as a first round draft pick. Looks really good out there playing max minutes. Darius Johnson has been back for a couple games now, got up to 38 minutes last time out. Overall thoughts on the game here?
Another one I don't love too much. I feel like there's a lot of guys, they just kind of take turns going off, it feels like. And I know like these are some of my Sunday people, so I usually get these guys a lot, but I for someone who gets them a lot, I don't really pick them that well. I feel like you can always get like a decent floor on all the Cincinnati guys, to be honest. Adams Woods, Davenport. I mean, Nolly's been amazing. The floor is great on a slate like this. No issue going 8-6 for him, but Hendricks just like a GPP play. And then DeJulius his rating's gone up lately, but I don't know, man. Like I don't have too much conviction on any of these guys. Hopefully you all do. Yeah,
I think what's interesting to me on the Cincy side, we were talking about Victor Locken like last month being in play at 20, 22 minutes. We've seen 30 plus in his last 3 games here, Gav. Any thoughts there? Because like his rates have been really good when he is on the floor. He is a bit of a fouler though, so there's some risk there. Thoughts on him, and then the UCF side as well. We might have buried the lead on the best play there.
Yeah, I mean, Locken's a stud, man. He's playing really well this year. And, yeah, he does have the fouling concern. So, that surely makes it a little bit dicey for a main team. But, yeah, it's – let me pull the this total was 137.5. So it's kind of like right in that mid-tier. Since he is pretty highly regarded in the market, dude, they were just laying 3 in Memphis. Like, they're 15-7 ATS this year, but shot quality has them at 8-14. So are they a little bit overheated? I thought so, but then Majeski bet them. So I'm like, there has to be some sort of stylistic advantage matchup angle type thing. I couldn't really point out what it was unless you want to talk about like the Wes Miller extended pressure at home, like against the team that's just getting back their point guard. But yeah, I mean, Locken's been good. Nolly's been good. I think they're more contrarian spends in the context of the slate than main team guys, but I think Hendricks probably in the same boat. DeJulius, like, I'm not going to pay 6.9 for DeJulius in this spot, especially when Darius Johnson is right there. And so that kind of also knocks off CJ Kelly. But one Lahat Thune plays 29 and 34 minutes in the last 2 games. Now, if you look on KenPom, UCF's most frequent lineups in the last 5 games, the first 2 both have Lahat in them. So this might be one where I think I'm just gonna plug my nose and pray. He's 3.5, dude. He's fucking 3.5. If he gets 6 to 10 fantasy points, fine, I'll take it. If he gets 15, we're dancing naked in the street. So. Big T always talks about this where, these budget guys, like even if there's ownership on them, when they just shit the bed, they don't really kill you. They don't bury you. How many times have I shit the 2-2-2 with a literal negative 0.5 guy in my life? I think I've done it 2 or 3 times this year. Like, so I'm more apt to just play these greasy ass guys like a Lahat. I think I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Turtle win the Q on Thursday night with 3 guys under 10 points. So,
yep.
As long as they're cheap and it allows you to get to these guys who can go for 40 plus. I'm fine with it. I think the Thune play is really interesting. Doesn't project great, which makes me like it even more. Any thoughts there, Kurt, before we move on?
Yeah, you don't got to talk me into cheapies, man. Let's go. I'm with it. Lay ass hat season, baby.
Let's move on to a super greasy game here, Gav. Ole Miss at Vandy. Just leave this game off the slate. Ole Miss has been on a couple slates lately with some injury news with Matt Morrell out. We saw Day Ruffin leave the team. It looks like Morrell is going to play here, though. What does that do for you in this game overall, and then DFS wise? Because we've been jamming these cheap Ole Miss guys for a while. What do you think?
It's interesting because, I wish that Morrell was more of like the news that comes out a minute after lock, when we already knew pretty much. It was reported last night from one of their beat guys that he was going to be out, but it wasn't widely reported. So, yeah, I mean, Ruffin out, Morrell in. Is that kind of a wash? Not really, because Morrell was playing more than Ruffin. He had a higher shot rate than Ruffin, throughout most of the year. And if Morrell's healthy, he could get a good number of shots here, and 6'8" is very doable. So I think he's in play for GPP or Qs for sure. And then when you're starting to get down to Abram and Caldwell, okay. I don't the way I see it going is Morrell is probably going to play as many minutes as he can make it on that balky knee. And then we see Abram and Caldwell both go kind of mid to high 20s minutes around him. So in that instance, then I'll just play Caldwell for the discount. But I think looking at the forwards too, looking at a Brakefield, looking at a Burns in the spot for GPP, I think is also really interesting. And then we get to Vanderbilt, just the most abject roster disaster in the country.
What is he doing?
Just digging his thumb in his ass and waving it to the wind, and he just points at a random kid on the bench and he just says, "Go in."
Yeah, one guy I'll mention on Ole Miss that you did not mention, Robert Allen, started last game, gave us 23 minutes and was pretty productive. I think he's not very impacted by the Morrell playing bit. I think if he starts again, I'd have some interest there at 3.5, Gav. Any thoughts about him, Kurt? And then what are you doing with Ole Miss with Morrell back?
I just think Allen's been playing better than McKinnis. McKinnis, bro, he misses so many. He can't catch.
He can't
He's
dunk the ball.
He can't dunk it. And it's all they need is someone to stand there and dunk it when these guys dish it off, and they serve it on a silver platter. McKinnis is or he dunks it and hits it back. I'm like, bro, oh my God. So I think that's why Allen's starting to eat into his playing time a little bit. And it's not like Allen has to do that great to keep eating into it. Just put them in when they serve it on a silver dish. That's all you have to do. So I'm good with that as another greasy play. As far as Vanderbilt, so you remember the first game without Robbins when Wright all of a sudden he's like, okay, now we're going to put you into 30 minutes, I think was one of the games. Or no, it was a game after. I don't know what he's doing with these minutes, bro. It's ridiculous. What if we randomly see the 30 minutes from Liam Robbins today? We won't. But what if we do? He probably goes for 45, 50. And it's what do we even do? Yeah. I mean, now we have to have a guard in play because Jordan Wright's out. It's a disaster,
so
man.
Vandy's a shit show. They played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13 guys last game.
That's whoa.
They played 13 guys last game. They played everyone on the roster.
That's a road trip too. So they're not taking the whole team. It's the travel roster. So pretty much everybody who went on that trip played.
Yeah. So we did see Liam Robbins come back here. Gav played 15 minutes. His rates are insane. He's under 7K. I think if you're playing that $30 Q, I would play some Liam Robbins here because if he gets 22, 24 minutes, he can smash at that price.
He could smoke this slate even in 28 minutes. That's the scary part.
Yeah. I think he can smoke it in less than that.
We want to rotate all of it. Why not give him he needs to throw him in jail, bro.
So I think Jordan Wright might miss here, Gavin, and we saw.
I think he is missing.
And we saw Stack go after Tyron Lawrence in the media. didn't play him last game. It's just a shit show. We saw Emmanuel Ansong start for 3-2. He played 20 minutes. I don't have any confidence in even like starters on this team playing 20 minutes. What do you think here before we move on? Yes.
Yeah, like I think the only guy with decent-ish floor on Vandy is like a Studi, but if he doesn't hit his threes, like he definitely could not get he's not going to get there if he doesn't hit his threes. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like Ole Miss has abandoned the zone a little bit, so it's going to play more into Vandy's hands offensively and a lot of their off-screen actions. So yeah, I don't know. What about game stacking this game? It's
Okay,
even if it's
listed.
What? Like if you're a psycho in the 30,
dude,
like
this
in the
okay. So
queue?
138 total. It's kind of in that mid tier.
Everyone's
We
cheap.
have a couple big injuries in here, and that's the thing. Everybody's cheap, so you can probably take like 3 to 4 pieces, and I think it'll help smooth out some of the variance of just trying to pick off one guy and he ends up playing 13 minutes because Stackhouse is pissed at him or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be comfortable with it, but the $30 queue is made for playing wild shit like that. So I guess I'm fine with it. Any last thoughts on the game here, Kurt?
Oh, good luck. I mean, I'm going to do it too, but good luck.
Let's get back to an actual good game here and a high-paced one. Wake at Notre Dame. Well, not great game overall, but great for DFS. Wake 74th at Ken Palm. Notre Dame, Gavin, down to 159th. He's got a Wake 78, 75. I think we both took a piece of that Wake -3. What do you think?
Yeah, Notre Dame hasn't beaten a team inside the Ken Palm top 200 since November 30th when they beat Sparty at home, if you remember.
Woof.
Wake's off 4 straight losses, but all to teams inside Ken Palm top 60. So you got to remember Wake also has the home game versus UNC with revenge on deck Tuesday. So, I don't know if it's going to be a quote unquote look ahead, but flat spot could happen. And Notre Dame has a path here for sure. They have the 40th highest 3-point rate, and they have the 30th best 3-point percentage. With Wake Forest packing in, they spread you out on offense and they pack it in on defense. They have the 30th highest defensive 3-point rate and 235th in 3-point D percentage. So like Notre Dame could definitely bury him hitting threes here. That's a little bit of my worry, but Notre Dame 92nd percentile in zone defense frequency. Wake 6th percentile zone offense points per possession. So you just don't zone them. 6th percentile in zone offense frequency. Like teams just aren't zoning them because they're 96th percentile in points per possession. So pretty good stylistic matchup. Wake's got a couple guys that can stretch it, so they should definitely put pressure on that defense. And we know Notre Dame don't play defense for shit, so definitely a spot we got to look to.
Yeah, a bunch of options here, Kurt. What stands out to you first? I guess my initial thoughts are a couple things. Hildreth coming off of a bad game and then a foul game and is now in another good spot after he's burned people for a week is my first note. And then second, I think you're going to need at least one of these Notre Dame guys. Goodwin got me there last Saturday. We've seen Hammond have big games. We've seen J.J. Starling come on late. What do you think overall? What stands out for you?
I think this game makes for a good little mini stack. Like 3 or 4 guys from it. I think you can make it work, especially if you take, I don't know, the Wake side, you could probably only do 2, and then 2 like maybe one of the 5K guards for Notre Dame, then one of the 6K guys or Nate Laz. Yeah, Hildreth, man. I'm going to start one lineup with Jackson and Hildreth just for the absolute brand. And 2 guys who, and probably throw in Liam Robbins in there too. Just go full on, just absolutely crazy. I wanted to ask you one thing. Is Matthew Marsh hurt?
No, he's just bad at basketball.
So they just played in 4 minutes and just.
Yeah, they've been going with the smaller lineup with Williamson. And I think Klintman played a lot last game, but I'm not sure if that's sticky or not.
I mean, that's the gigantic dude, right?
Yeah, he's a floor stretcher. Like, so it's more matchup based, and Forbes kind of hot hands that forward rotation outside of Carr.
But wouldn't he? I mean, isn't he kind of a good matchup with Nate Laz?
Yeah, everybody's a good matchup for him.
Yeah, but like I feel like the prototype's kind of the same skinny floor stretcher fucker.
Yeah,
but Marsh
Marsh
could beat the shit out of Laz inside.
Yeah, I like Bobby though. I think I'll have him in the pool.
Yeah, I mean,
But that's who I got.
We saw him go from 4 to 8 to 33 minutes last game, Gav. I think that is going to be a matchup type thing that's kind of hard to predict, like him versus Marsh going forward. Any thoughts there? And then what do you like best from this game since there's legit 9 guys in play?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely going to be matchup based, and who knows? And I think you're right. So I'm pretty much going to be like just out on Marsh or Klintman. I think the way you play this is you play at least one Wake. So you go like you start with Appleby or Hildreth, and then you plug in 2 of these like cheaper Notre Dame guys. So if you want to go like Goodwin and Hammond, or like pretty much any 4 of those guards in any combination, I think you're fine. And almost more comes down to like, what does the rest of your roster look like, and just play whatever Notre Dame guy fits, rather than I have to build around this guy, because I don't know how to decipher if Dane Goodwin's going to get another double-double, if who's going to get all the shots. Like they're kind of like Creighton in a way that that they're going to score a decent amount and there's going to be fantasy points, and there's 5 guys that are going to mostly play, but you don't really know who's going to be the one to go off in any given game because they're so balanced across the board. That's where I'm at with Notre Dame.
Yeah, same. I don't want to call them last man in plays, but I'm comfortable using any of these 5 if depending on where you land, right? I think that I'm going to want to get to them too. So I'm with you on that. I think I prefer Goodwin the most if I had to like start a team with a Notre Dame guy. I think his rates are the most sticky. I like him as a player more than Cormac Ryan, and they're priced really close. I like Hildreth for the bounce back, as we mentioned. Any Monsanto thoughts here, Gav? He's coming off a really good game. Played 36 minutes last time out. I feel like he gets in foul trouble a lot in big spots, but that might just be bias on my end.
Or he goes 3 for 12 from 3 in big spots. Like, I mean, yeah, that's Monsanto. He's a GPP only guy. So if there's people playing him, then I'm not going to play him. If there's not going to be people playing him, then I might be more open to the idea of playing him.
Yeah, I think he's the guy that I would use on Wake in like a game stack, like him and Hildreth with the Notre Dame guys. I think is interesting too. All right, let's. I
think Starling might be the highest owned Notre Dame guy. So we'll see.
Yeah, currently on the scoring heater. We're a bit behind schedule, so we'll press forward here. Texas Tech at Baylor. Texas Tech, complete fraud at 62nd. Baylor 14th. Ken Pump's got this. Baylor 78-69. We'll go to you first, Kurt, on this one. I think Amac is going to be out again. I think Bacho is going to play after getting hurt last game on Monday. And I haven't seen anything on Pop Isaacs or Langston Love. So a bunch of injuries in this game. But I think a couple spots that we can take advantage of if the injuries do break right, especially with O'Banner, who's just been on a tear since Amac went out.
Yes, I mean, O'Banner's still too cheap. I wish they would have priced him up a little bit more. How do you not love him? Even, I mean, Bacho back doesn't even affect me. I still love the guy. The game with Bacho before that, his Nuke game, he had an awesome first half. He just cooled off a little bit in the second half. He almost broke that slate too.
Yeah, I thought he was going for 60 in that game.
Yeah, so I had him that game, and I didn't have the Nuke game, but that's how it works. So Walton just keeps chucking the ball at 3,800. If Pop Isaac's out, the guy sucks ass, but man, he just absolutely chucks. I think they really need to give more time to Williams, but they keep giving it to Walton. He keeps chucking, so you can go there. I'm not paying 7K for Harmon or 6-7 for Tyson. I mean, these guys needed overtime to kind of like really nuke. I might have them in the pool, but that's it. And I want to get some Langston Love, but man, I hate that he had a hip injury. I really think he was starting to get healthy, and it seems like this is a setback, and that's probably why they've not been giving him the full minutes allotment. But that's where I'm at. If he's out, you can throw a 2% Del Bonner. I mean, but yeah. I'm also Keontae George is still due for a bounce back game at overpriced 8.3. I feel like no one wants to click that price.
Yeah, Gavin, thoughts on O'Banner here? Currently on a heater, we've been using him. We talked him up last Saturday. I had him on every team. And then I think a big decision Kurt alluded to is Ncaa George or Adam Flagler with a team total near 80 on a slate. We've talked about a lot of totals in the 130s here. So this one is 144 with Baylor up near 80. So I think that we're going to want a piece against this, as you've stated many times, fraudulent Texas Tech team.
Yeah, so O'Banner's still probably pretty cheap. Against the Baylor no middle, it's really good that he can step out and shoot from the perimeter. So I still think he's a great play in this environment. So Majeski tweeted on January 30th that he has legit Texas Tech insiders, and they said that Pop is out indefinitely. So I'm gonna tend to believe him. But that doesn't mean I'm going to go play 7K, Harmon or 6.7K Tyson. Now, I brought up 2 slates in a row that Tech has been on, I think. Like when they played LSU, I said, what about Adam Miller as a GPP shooter? When they played K-State, I said Ish Massoud as a three-point shooter. It's kind of the same thing for Kerwin Walton, against that Texas Tech no middle. The guy's going to get his chucks from the outside, or somebody's going to be shooting from 3. So, I'm not going to play him, but, I guess you can mix him in. And then I'm just never going to play Ncaa George over Flagler. I just don't think Ncaa George is that good, frankly. I might be on an island with that, but I basically see poor man's LSU Cam Thomas. A lot of difficult shot taking, not a lot of difficult shot making. So I'm just going to play Flagler over him just about every time. And then I think Bonnery could be mixed in as well, but you're going to have to wait on the Love news, and you might not even get it until after lock, like last slate. So tread accordingly, because if you get stuck on 3.1 and you can't really pivot off, you might have to get off a more expensive guy. So just be mindful of that.
Yeah, my only issue with Flagler, he has not played well lately. No real good games since early January, and hasn't had a ceiling game since LJ Cryer has come back. Cryer's eating into Flagler's usage more than I would like. But the price has come down. He's mid-7s, and I think he's definitely the best piece from Baylor. Am I going to play him over Cam Hildreth? I don't know. I think Hildreth has got the same ceiling. I might play both. I clearly haven't decided who I'm using yet from Baylor. I like George more than you do. I think he's fine. Absolutely smashed this Texas Tech game this Texas Tech team last time they played. I think he scored 27 real points in that game. 41.25 DK. I think George has way higher ceiling than Flagler here, but you have to pay for it. He's 1,000 more. Any thoughts between those two, Kurt, before we move on?
I just like that. It just feels like Flagler's being he's being too unselfish. Yeah, he's just letting. He's just giving the ball up late to George all the time, and he's not just taking I don't know, man. That's what I noticed in the last 2 games I've watched. He's just more equipped to just say, George, you go ahead and take this one. And so I'm give me the guys more aggressive.
Yeah, I do like they're at home. Maybe we can look at some home road splits or something to decide between those, but we've got an hour. Let's go next game here. Auburn at Tennessee. Tennessee coming off the loss during the week. Auburn's 26th at Ken Palm. Tennessee's second. He's got a Tennessee 71-61, Gavin. Overall game thoughts here. Tough as nails road spot for Auburn with the bounce back spot for Tennessee.
Yeah, Auburn, they just waxed Georgia at home, but they had lost to Texas A&M and at West Virginia. But they're playing much better on the road this year. We used to talk about road Auburn. They are playing much better. Now, that being said, they're also going into Tennessee here. Houston, Tennessee, I just usually cross teams off against them. Both teams Tennessee forces a lot of teams to shoot a lot of 3-pointers because they pack it in and they just make it impossible to get into the key on them. And Auburn is 335th in 3-point percentage and 255th in rate. So just bad stylistic matchup all the way around. I think might even be willing to look at an under or something right here. But yeah, kind of less appetizing game definitely in this back window.
Yeah, I peeked at the under 2, but hadn't fired on it. we just got some news come in, Gavin. Jazz Kuntz is going to play for Iowa State, so that muddles them up even more.
That almost makes them a
Especially,
cross off, dude. Like, I might just cross them off now.
yeah. Kurt, over to you. Auburn, Tennessee. We saw Johnny Broom just decimate the slate in 21 minutes. He had 48 fantasy points the other night. Got me in my Q seat. Happy with him. Man, tough road spot here for him. He's still expensive, but I feel like he's the type of player that doesn't need a super high-paced, high-scoring game to get there with his rebound and block upside. Any thoughts on him there? And then on the Tennessee side, Zakai Zeigler has been starting 36 and 37 minutes last two games. Let people down during the week, along with JJJ actually did as well. He was chalky on Monday or Tuesday, whichever day that game was. I think those two are interesting. Vescovi's under 7K. I think that Tennessee side might be a little sneaky here.
Yeah, I like JJJ's priced at 6'3", and you want to take a shot on Vescovi, you can. Not really my style. ZZZ is just too high for me. I will take a shot on Broom just because it's kind of how this slate's laid out. Like, you don't have that many great spin ups. 8-8. Don't feel great about it, but if the minutes are up and it's a close game, they can kind of take. He had a little injury and then like stuff like that, and there's a blowout. So maybe we could see his ceiling minutes here. Maybe. So we'll take a shot. But I really like JJJ here. It feels like his type of game. 6'3", fits right in the build.
Yeah, Gav, thoughts on Broom here? Tough road matchup, but I don't know. I don't think that he needs the lotion game to have his ceiling games. He just needs minutes. Thoughts on him, and then anyone on Tennessee that you like here?
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to play Broom in this spot. If he gets 2 fantasy points a minute again, so be it. I'll take the L on this one. But like, he was playing more. And, the shot rate was going up a lot, but, if he's able to get up that amount of shots in this game, I don't see it being as efficient as he has been. And so it's like, you probably need like at least 12 rebounds and multiple blocks, because I don't think you expect a whole lot more than like 10 or 11 points in the spot, short of getting to the free throw line a bunch, because Tennessee will foul a little bit, but yeah, Broom's not for me, and I don't play road guys at Tennessee, especially interior guys at that price. If I lose, I lose, but that's not my cup of tea. For Tennessee, right? It's like, man, Julian Phillips is not getting the usage, and Ncaa having spike games, but usually you want him against a team that he's going to be able to stretch the floor against and get his 3-point opportunity. So I'm probably on board with you guys that, JJJ is probably my favorite play, from the team. And I like Vescovi, but I still don't know if he's fully healthy, dude. Like, now the guy's coming off an illness. He's got the shoulder. He's just been banged and nicked up all year. So,
He's just not
Auburn's
that good.
No, he is good. He definitely is good. I'll give you some stats later, but yeah. Other than that, like, I don't. Yeah, I guess Tennessee is kind of sneaky because of the price ranges, and they're getting the pace up with Auburn. But with kind of the other games that it's surrounded by, I think I'm going to look elsewhere.
I like Zeigler a bit more than you guys do. 36 and 37 minutes with his rates is pretty enticing. He's priced up, so I think he might go.
Auburn will kick it away too.
Overlooked. Yeah, so I like him. I don't know. I just have a weird feeling that someone from
Doesn't feel like Vescovi just kind of like it just took that injury for Zakai to be like, oh, okay, I can run this team. I feel like that's what happened.
Zeigler probably should have been starting beforehand, but now he finally is, and he's really running with it. I think the steal upside, like Gavin said, is big here too. Let's move on. We got 3 games left. Butler at Marquette. Supposed to go to this game, but some stuff came up. Shout out to Matt Kajeski in the chat. Hope that he's going today. Butler 111th at KenPom. Marquette up to 8th at KenPom. Gavin, he's got this Marquette 81-66. I have some blowout concerns here. Butler has just gotten their shit pushed in for the last month. The last 4 games, they've lost by 21, 30, 21, and 21. So kind of tough to to take their minutes in context, right? Because they're just getting blown out. Thoughts on how you're going to deal with that, and then thoughts on this game style overall.
Yeah, Butler, like you said, is just an abject disaster this year. And like Marquette is the hottest team in the country. I mean, they are the best, adjusted offensive efficiency in the nation. And I keep saying it looks so sustainable because of the shots they're generating. Like you watch a Marquette game, they shoot so many wide open 3-pointers. It's mind boggling with the ball movement and the spacing that they can maintain. But yeah, Marquette is off the 4 straight wins after the Xavier loss. They lost to Purdue. They lost against a hot Mississippi State team at the time when Mississippi State was like in the top 25. So there's nothing really to scoff at. I mean, they could really blow the doors off Butler because Butler will push pace. Not as much as they were early on in the year, but Butler's still a heavy rim funnel defense where they're cutting off catch and shoot 3-point opportunities and trying to funnel everything to Manny Bates. But Manny Bates isn't playing, so the rim funnel defense is just getting shredded.
So wanted to ask you, Gav. So he played, it was like 18 and 21 in his first 2 games back from the injury. They've gotten their shit kicked in both games, and now they've had a week off. Like their last game was last Saturday. They didn't play during the week. He's had a full week here. He's still like 6'3". I don't know. It's a huge pace. It's a huge pace up. You kind of have to talk yourself into it, but I think I can get there, especially like in the qualifier with some Manny Bates.
I honestly didn't even think about it. I kind of just like looked at the minutes the last 3, and I was like, I don't know if he's not healthy or they're just forcing in Jalen Thomas or what it is, but it makes sense. I see it. I played thinner shit. Trust me. That's what I'll say about that.
Mm-hmm. So Kurt, we have Cuck Harris is questionable here with a concussion. If he's out, do you have any interest in this Butler side? We saw, I think it was Jaden Taylor play a bunch more with him out. He is under 5K. I think if Harris is out, I have a ton of interest there. Any thoughts overall? And then is Manny Bates for you?
Biggs versus Marquette. Yes. I'm going to have way too much Manny Bates. He's going to foul stupidly, and I'm going to be tilt, but he's probably going to be my play of the day for sure. He would have had – they were ready to give him bigger minutes last game, but he made really, really stupid fouls. Looked good when he was in. Actually came back and had a good second half. But, yeah, Biggs versus Marquette. Like I said, so small. He doesn't want to get in foul trouble. He's too pivotal for the team. So Manny Bates will do what he wants, and Marquette will still kick the shit out of him. That's how I think the game will go. And Marquette, you got to always – Kolak is just a fucking animal right now. So got to have interest in him. And then we'll have a little bit of slight value with I will have probably one of these Butler guys. They're probably going to hurt me. But if Cuck Harris is out, someone for sub 5K being my lowest guy, I'm cool with that.
So you're telling me that you like my Manny Bates narrative, off for a week, didn't play that much because of the blowout and fouls. Yeah, I'm playing some Manny Bates here.
I'm playing way too much Manny
Bates. Gavin, you are the resident Kolak whisperer. I'm going to give you that title after you played him last Saturday, and he just decimated the slate. His price hasn't moved. Like he's just been an absolute wagon, and he's still priced at 8K. Thoughts on him here? Do you have any concerns on the Marquette guys because of the potential blowout? I think that's my biggest hesitation to click on an 8K Marquette guy. Yeah,
a little bit. I can't remember who I said earlier. Oh, it's UConn has Marquette on deck, right? So maybe the look ahead, they come out a little flat. Butler has something to prove. They can push it, but I think that just means that Kolak goes from the 37 to the 31 to 32 range. Like, here's what I'll tell you about him. If he's going to take 20% of the shots on this team, he is going to nuke over 50% of slates he's on because of the style that Marquette plays, because of the amount of time he has the ball in his hands, creating for that offense. Like, they're forcing a ton of turnovers, so he just has steals fall in his lap all the time with the press. Like, 8.2 is a great play. Like, there's no way I'm playing Keontae George over Tyler Kolak. None, zero, less than none. at all.
Yeah, I like Kolek here too. Do you like anyone else here, Gav? You know, we saw Cam Jones come in, what I thought was doubtful last game, and then played 34 minutes with a hip injury. He's at 7.5. If you're not playing Kolek, or if you're down early, do you mind a Cam Jones here?
Because he's only 700 cheaper than Kolek, like I would rather just try to find my way there because, you know, Jones's peripherals can be a little up and down, whereas that's like where Kolek is solid, is, you know, everywhere but the scoring, and then when he scores, he goes off. Sean Jones missing the last 2 games. Like, if you want to toss a dart at a Stevie Mitchell or a Chase Ross, like for a last man in, I don't hate that. They could see a little bit extended time, but you also got to watch the Sean Jones injury news. If he's in, then it's going to, you know, cap the ceiling and lower the floor. Both those guys, kind of like what Rondell Walker playing did to Micah Peavy on what was it, Tuesday or something like that. So I'm all right with, you know, with these Marquette guys. I just don't get myself playing Oso, playing Prosper, playing Joplin. Like, you know, Joplin and Prosper are kind of more offensive spark plugs that play in bigger spurts. So yeah, I think it's either all the way up for Kolek, or it's, you know, taking a shot on a Mitchell or a Ross for me.
Yeah, I don't think I'm clicking Oso over Kolek the way Kolek's playing right now. Any last thoughts here, Kurt, before we move on?
Nope, I think y'all covered it pretty well.
All right, TCU at OK State. TCU 15th at KenPom, OK State 31st. He's got this 68-67 Oklahoma State. We'll start with you first, Gav. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't even have a ton of notes on this because this game's going to be, you know, mega ugly, but there's injuries all over the place. You know, Mike Miles obviously out for extended time. We saw Shahada Wells plug in, play really well. Like, Damian Bott took over much more control of that offense as well. And then on the Oak State side, like the whole Musa Cisse thing. You know, the minutes ticked up a little bit last game, and he went 8 for 10, like, and crushed at, you know, 5.4. But, you know, he goes back home. Like, I just don't know what to make of his minute situation. It sounded like when he was sitting out early, it was more precautionary, but in that he could play, but Boynton was holding him out. So I don't know, like, what they're still doing with him. I think he's kind of a similar play to Manny Bates, honestly. A guy who can rate out really well and who's going to get pushed in a pace by the other team. Like, TCU is still going to try and run even without Miles. I thought they would slow down a little bit last game. Like, they were still, you know, very much pushing pace as much as possible.
Ball looked awesome in that game. He was so good. I think he had 11 or 12 assists too.
He's a beast.
I have a ton of interest in Cisse here. I was hoping that you would kind of talk me down, but you're not doing that. I think he could even start here. But even off the bench, I think he's viable. Like, if he's a cheaper, like, not the same upside as like a Liam Robbins, but a similar type of play, like where he doesn't need 32 minutes to have a big score at this price. Kurt, you know, we see Cisse in the mid 5s. You know, he could have 5-6 blocks in 22 minutes, something like that. I think, especially if you're down early, I think Cisse is a really fun pivot play. Thoughts there? And then, do you like anyone else in this game? Everyone was on Shahada Wells as they should have been earlier in the week, but now he's $2K more expensive. He's up to 6.3. And then we saw Peavy kind of struggle, but the role was exactly what we thought. So I think Peavy's still fine there at 4K.
Yeah, so I actually went with Cisse last time because I didn't really need to pivot that bad, but I had a little bit of side bust. So I went to him, and I was happy with it. I actually don't mind him today, even if you aren't down. I think I like obviously it's Cisse, so it's volatile, but I don't know. The upside is there, especially for the minutes. And if he starts, you get the nut run out. I love it. As far as TCU goes, I'm going to go right back to Peavy for value because if the shots fall, you're going to get there. I mean, just know the risk. It's just like any other shooter. If he's missing, you're going to just close the laptop. And then Bow's ready to take this whole team on his back. So got to have interest there as well.
Yeah. Any last thoughts here, Gav, or comments on what Kurt had?
Bryce Thompson, dude. Have you seen these rates last 3 games?
Yes.
Sheesh.
God.
Holy shit.
Never does anything,
play
though.
him for sure. People are going to play him. So, yeah, if you need to get off like a Thompson to go down to Cisse, I think that's viable. I think if you need to even I don't going down from like a Thompson to like a Coles or a Cork. If Coles starts, maybe, but he's still coming off the bench. But I just think he's the better player. I don't know why they just keep playing Cork. So yeah, not a
Cork
ton
played
more to
well
add.
last game, so I think he's probably going to start. I mean, he was 6 of 6 from the floor. I agree with you that Coles is better, but I don't know. I just kind of tough to bench Cork after going 6 of 6 from the court, I think. But all right, let's move on. We got one game left. We're going a bit over here, but we don't have an NFL show up our ass, so we're fine. Illinois at Iowa, highest total on the slate to end the slate here. Kurt, we'll start with you. Illinois 22nd at Ken Palm, Iowa 33rd. Iowa's laying 2 on Ken Palm. I think they're laying 3 in the market. Just overall game thoughts here, and first things that stand out to you.
You say Kurt or me?
Kurt's on mute.
Yeah, go ahead, Gavin.
It's fucking dope. Yeah, Iowa 2 straight wins. At home versus Rutgers and Northwestern. After they dropped, 2 on the road. I mean, one of those teams that not all too dissimilar to Iowa State. They just play so much better in their own arena than a lot of times they do on the road. But Iowa goes, to play Purdue on deck. So this is plenty much a rivalry game. I don't think there's going to be any sort of look ahead kind of stuff, but you're going to get plenty of the Iowa zone, right? 88th percentile and zone defense frequency. Illinois is very middle of the pack, like 50th percentile zone offense points per possession, because like the Underwood spread offense is not best designed to beat a zone. It's designed to bring everybody like up to the free throw line and try to get back cuts and corner threes going through the high post with Coleman Hawkins, which doesn't really fare great, but you can still just jam Coleman Hawkins. I think he in a zone game earlier, he triple doubled or something like that. But teams are starting to zone Illinois a little bit more, so they're definitely going to see plenty of the dosage here, but still just a great game environment. 2 teams like top 50 in percentage of shots coming from transition. So yeah, we're obviously going to need some pieces here.
Yeah, my initial thoughts are that Chris Murray is probably my favorite spend on the slate just because of the game environment. He can really get up and down in this game, block upside. I think an interesting spot, Kurt, is going to be how you deal with the spends on Illinois. I think people are going to play Ncaa. I think people are going to play Mayer. And I always like Terry Shannon. So why don't you talk about those 3 guys and how you're going to kind of sort those out in this big game? You're muted again.
God
Is
dang
your
it.
first show ever?
I'm doing my freaking 150 and I was sidetracked. So yeah, I'm a sucker for Ncaa, but sucker for Ncaa. Ooh. I like Terry Shannon here too. I think he's going to be a lower owned because he's more expensive. And man, it's just Coleman and Matthew Meyer are so freaking volatile. Give me Terry Shannon. And especially in this matchup, I just feel like he's the better matchup. Don't know what the analytics say, but just from the eye test, I think so. So give me Terry Shannon, and I'll go Hawkins, then Meyer, and then Ncaa. But man, I like Ncaa's ceiling.
Yeah,
But that 4 is low for him, bro.
I like Ncaa the least out of the 4, I think. I like Terry Shannon the most by far, personally, Gav. I like Kurt said, this type of game just kind of suits where he excels, steals, transition dunks, stuff like that. And we saw him foul in that, was it the Wisconsin game? And then last game out was like a blowout that didn't really need him to score that much. I think I was going to push them here. They're, a small road dog. I really like Shannon. I think that he's a great play. We don't have those 10, 9, 11K spends. So, you can probably have multiple 7, 8K guys. Thoughts between those 3 for you?
Yeah, I'm just going to be Terry Shannon. I played him against Nebraska, and he just wasn't really rebounding. Like, that was less than desirable. But, keep in mind, I was not going to be kicking the ball away either. I think they're first in turnover percentage or second in turnover percentage. So I wouldn't bank on picking up a ton of those, especially like live ball turnovers. So, if you can't get to Terry, I think Epps is fine. Feels a little more cashy. But he's getting 10 shots in 30 minutes, in a great game environment. So I think you definitely have to look to Jaden Epps. And then I'm kind of tempted to go back to RJ Melendez. I didn't play him last slate, but I think there's a little bit of worry that, dude, he may just like fall out of the rotation completely. Like Underwood may just start jamming Ty Rodgers and Sincere Harris in there more, but now he was also like really owned too on the last slate. So I think everybody's just going to go away. And if you need to just find a punt for a guy who can shoot, he hasn't been, efficient shooting from the perimeter lately, but he's got some length to rebound. I don't hate Melendez in like a GPP environment.
Yeah, like you said, I just think that Melendez, Harris, Rogers is going to be kind of volatile game to game. Whoever's the hot hand. I like the Epps call. He's been playing 30 plus minutes, hasn't really seen any goddamn shots go in, and has been like right at value. And now we get this pace up. Maybe he gets a little overlooked here. Probably projects decently, I would imagine. But he's 5K as an attachment to this great game. So I'm in on Epps, if you don't want to spend on a Terry or a Mayer. I think Mayer comes in higher owned than Terry Shannon here, Gav, which I think is pretty egregious. Any thoughts on the Iowa side? I brought up Murray. I think he's probably my favorite spend here. We saw Rebraca have an awesome game in a tough matchup last time out against Northwestern, I think it was, going 9 of 13 from the floor. His price hasn't moved. I think he's a good, consolation if you can't get to Murray. Thoughts on Iowa overall here? They're usually tough to sort out outside of the top two.
Yeah, I'm usually just Chris or pass. McCaffrey coming back. Like I wonder how many like catch and shoot threes McCaffrey takes away from Chris. But now that he's back, Ulis is priced up. Sanford usually doesn't start and kind of gets low minutes, but has a high shot rate, is a GPP guy. I mean, for me, it's probably Chris or pass. I keep wanting to say Keegan. Jesus Christ.
I wish we could roster Keegan here.
Yeah, right. Because it just gets so spread out and nobody really ever has like a commanding shot share. Maybe like if you want to run a Tony Perkins as part of a game stack, because he seems to be kind of the consistent minute guy with at least some ceiling compared to like a Connor McCaffrey. But yeah, I'm probably either just Chris or pass in this instance.
Yeah, I have a little more interest in Rebraca than you, I think, just because I do like his ceiling in the mid sevens. He always gets overlooked. The matchup isn't too tough. Kurt, any thoughts on the Iowa guys here before we wrap up?
Oh gosh, probably just Chris for me. I mean, you can play roulette with him, McCaffrey, stuff like that, but I'm gonna say just Chris.
Just keep in mind for Chris too. Like Illinois is like one of the 30th lowest defensive 3-point rates. Like it's not going to be easy for him to get his shots off. Like so, you're not just auto jamming Chris. Like there's definitely paths for him not getting there, even in the good game environment.
Right. It's just like the spends on the slate. You have to
True.
You have to click on one of these guys, right? So he is in the best game. I like saving the salary till later to make decisions. I think there are a lot of things going in the favor of him. Well, let's wrap up here with a couple of our favorite plays. I think last Saturday, Gavin, both of your plays were in the qualifier winner because you gave away Grant Sherfield, and one of those greasy values that you had put up like 20 points. So we'll go to you first. 7K plus guy for you that you don't think is going to be super owned on the slate.
Oh God damn it! I fucking hate this slate. I can't say Kolek.
You can say I think he'll be owned, but since he's your guy, I will let you use Kolek.
I'm going Kolek. I think a lot of people will go Appleby in that game environment.
Yeah.
Some people play Terry Shannon. I don't think Kolek will be as owned as we think.
Kurt, what do you think? 7K plus guy that's probably not in the optimal.
Probably not in the Cam Hildreth.
Well, you just took mine. God damn it. Yeah, I'll just echo Cam Hildreth. I think he's a great play here. Has burned everyone 2 straight slates. I think him and since you took him, I'll go with O'Banner. I'm not seeing him in optimals right now. I think he's still underpriced. I mean, this is an 8K guy without AMAC in there. And if Bacho is at all hobbled, he could grab a couple extra boards and a couple extra minutes here. We'll go right back to you, Kurt. Favorite cheap guy today? Let's go 5K or less. What do you think? You're on mute for the third time. I'm gonna
that time I clicked myself on mute before I talked, so that's nice. So I'm gonna go Manny Bates for my mid-tier range, and then below 5K, I'm gonna go. Ooh, I don't want to take that because it's probably gonna be Gavin's. Go to Gavin first. I've not found my cheapie yet. Oh, I'm sorry. Micah Peavy. Micah Peavy makes the shots today.
Yeah, I do like going right back to him here. He burned everyone, going like 1 of 5 from 3 the other night. So I like the PV call. Kurt. Gavin,
hey.
I'll go to you next because I know who you're going to pick, and I have to find someone else while you're talking.
Old Stinky Lahat is going to be in every single one of my lineups today. Can you imagine that? What a fucking world we live in.
Yeah, wow. I'm going to go just above 5K. I'm going to cheat a little bit since I'm the host and go to Moussa Cisse. I think he's viable even off the bench here, but if he starts, I will be jamming some of him because this was a 7,500 player for a reason before his injury. Rebound block upside is off the charts. Game's going to be lots of scoring in the front court there, so I think he will have an opportunity for that, although there is some foul risk. That's it. We did an hour 20 today. It's kind of nice to not be on the hour restriction. Thanks to everyone for hanging out. If you're not a member, we have core plays and a playbook every day. Kurt and I doing our thoughts on the games, player notes, stuff like that. And the Discord is invaluable for something like this. It's basically where all the decisions are made. News is huge in college basketball. You see it on every single slate. Even if you go in, without guys questionable, things always come up. So if you want to subscribe to Run Pure, use code Boynton15, or is it Kurt15?
Yeah, Kurt15.
For your first month, it includes SaberSim, which is our optimizer, and also includes all sports. So there's a UFC slate tonight, I believe, Gav. We got the Super Bowl coming up, NBA's rolling, hockey, all that good stuff, PGA. So thanks for hanging out with us, everyone in chat. Thanks for dropping by. Kurt, I hope to see you again next week. Gavin, you do not get any more qualifiers, so I will not see you in the queue. But the winner of today's $30 gets the right to face Gavin in the first round. So
fuck me.
Look at Kurt.
See you
today too.
So
you're going down, Gavin. Fuck you. I'm winning today, and I'm taking you down.
Whoever wins the $30 today, we'll see Gavin in a couple weeks. We'll see all of you next Saturday, same time, same place. For Kurt, for Gav, I'm Steve Boynton. Good luck today.